The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Today is Wednesday, January 12th, 2022. Good morning and welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. We are watching stories all around the country as well as around the world. We are going to be joined this morning early by Nomiki Konst. She is a progressive journalist, activist, organizer, and commentator from the Nomiki Show. She is going to join us on Solidarity Wednesdays. Every Wednesdays, we are looking to form and strengthen alliances, existing alliances, because one thing I can tell you for certain, the fights that we're fighting in this country cannot be won in isolation. There are quite a few divisions in this big camp. I don't mean the big D Democratic camp. I mean the people of good faith who are trying to win victories on behalf of justice, on behalf of liberation. None of those fights are going to be victorious by ourselves. Black people can't win those fights by ourselves. We simply cannot. We need allyship. We need people that we can trust, and we need co-conspirators. We need people who would be on the front lines with us. And obviously, we know that has not been historically the case in this country. But forgetting those things which are behind, we've got work to do. We have insurrectionists, terrorists, who want to overthrow this country for the sake of white supremacy. They are unapologetic about their goals. They're very clear about their goals. And so we must have solidarity on our side because they have solidarity on their side, and they're fighting like hell for all of the wrong reasons. And so I encourage us to fight like hell for all of the right reasons. So Nomiki Konst is going to be joining us later on in this first half hour, coming up at the 8:30. At the half hour mark, we'll be joined by Georgia Fort for On the Clock. And as always, we'll be joined by DJ Exclusive and Rebecca Zor for Like It or Not. A lot of stuff happening this morning. I do want to bring attention to what's happening in Bessemer, Alabama. This is one of the things we're going to talk about with Nomiki. Okay, we have Nomiki. Well, good morning and welcome. Nomiki, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, Ben. I'm really excited about this. And well said. Oh, my God. Very
absolutely. Well said. And I'm dressed the part. I said, let me not throw on a suit and a blazer this morning. Let me throw on my Solidarity hoodie. And it's also just a great excuse to not have to get properly dressed for this morning show. But at the end of the day, we've got to get into the streets. We've got to organize because you study what's happening on the right very diligently. You know what's happening with Steve Bannon and all of the reactionaries across the globe they have solidarity. They're united. Mm-hmm. They have a cause. And it's like on our side of the equation, it's sometimes iffy. What are your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. I think that we get into this pattern on the left of thinking that the left always eats itself. But I think part of the reason, and it's not because we have so much diversity of ideas and backgrounds on the left. I think that's some of it. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're not studying our history. Most of us aren't studying our history. And at this moment in particular, we have weakened our muscles when it comes to organizing, partly because the right wing has almost, has attempted to annihilate the labor movement. And so when people aren't in labor, they're not practicing their organizing skills and they're not practicing solidarity because it's not part of their day-to-day activity. I think we're getting better. Right. I think obviously what we're seeing in Bessemer is progress. And even if they failed last time and there were some problems, reported last time, it's still inspired so much more, all the Starbucks unions, everything that's happening, across the country. And also the reporting of it, because, I saw somebody report this, that it's not that there's more strikes than ever. There actually aren't. It's that reporters are reporting on the strikes.
That's right. Yeah. And that makes all the difference. If the media, because so many people only get their news still from the mainstream media, if they're not reporting on all the many strikes, then the people who are watching it don't know what's happening. I'm reminded of the teacher strikes that occurred before the pandemic. I mean, there were teacher strikes after teacher strikes. And that you hit on something. I want to move to Bessemer. You mentioned Bessemer, Alabama. We've been covering this pretty extensively. We spoke with some of the people from the Bamazonians. Those are the Alabama-based Amazon workers and employees who have attempted to unionize. Their first effort in Bessemer failed. There is a revote that's going to happen. And I want us to take a look at this first clip. It's from November 30th, 2021, and it's discussing the U.S. Labor Board officials ordering Amazon to redo the union vote at the Alabama Bessemer warehouse. Let's take a look at that.
A regional director for the U.S. National Labor Relations Board on Monday called for a rerun of a union election at an Amazon facility in Alabama, setting the stage for another high-profile organizing battle at the world's largest online retailer. Workers at the warehouse in Alabama rejected forming a union by a more than 2-to-1 margin in April after an organizing drive that garnered support from U.S. lawmakers and President Joe Biden. In August, an NLRB hearing officer said the company's conduct around the previous vote had interfered with the election. In a statement, Stuart Applebaum, president of the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union, said, quote, "Today's decision confirms what we were saying all along, that Amazon's intimidation and interference prevented workers from having a fair say in whether they wanted a union in their workplace." In Monday's decision, the NLRB regional director said that Amazon engaged in objectionable conduct that warrants setting aside the election. The decision pointed to moves by the company encouraging staff to vote via a mailbox it had the Postal Service install at its warehouse, surrounding the mailbox with its campaign slogan and locating it where workers may have thought Amazon was monitoring them. The decision for a redo adds pressure on Amazon, which has recently faced union campaigns in New York and Canada. Worker groups view organizing the company as a landmark goal that would invigorate the U.S. labor movement. An Amazon spokesperson said that the company's employees overwhelmingly voted against joining the union this year, adding that it is disappointing that the NLRB has now decided those votes shouldn't count.
Nomiki, you followed it, you covered it, I followed it. We all were paying attention to what was happening in Bessemer, Alabama. One thing we know for sure was that Amazon did everything it could to prevent the successful unionization there. What are your thoughts about the second vote that's coming up?
Well, I hope that RWDSU is really going to take the lessons that they've learned from not just this effort, but previous efforts. I'm cautiously optimistic, partly because, some of the reporting from great reporters like Kim Kelly, who was on the ground out there, interviewing folks, to other labor leaders who said, it was questionable that they chose Bessemer, which is important. Obviously, people of Bessemer want to unionize, and there is a union history in Bessemer, but it's a right to work state. While
that's right,
there's Staten Island, where Stuart Applebaum and RWDSU has a very strong presence in New York City, and it's a union state. Some folks said it might have been easier to do this to start in a place in Staten Island, where tons of people have gotten attention. Chris Smalls, of course, was fired, went straight to management in terms of memos about Chris Smalls as he was calling out how they were protecting workers during the lockdown, specifically during the lockdown. Right. So, I think I'm glad that they're doing it again, and I hope that there are lessons that were learned, and maybe this is also to give good face to RWDSU, who seem to mishandle the last union effort. So I'm not sure. I'm
to be sure,
ground, so I can't say.
And for the audience, the RWDSU is the Retail Worker Wholesale and Department Store Union. That's in Birmingham, Alabama. That's the union that was organizing there in Bessemer, correct?
Right. And and to make it also clear, there are other unions who, it's from what I understand, when a location, specifically Amazon, wants to unionize, they look around and see which unions are strong in that area that complement. So it's not always that RWDSU is the union associated with Amazon. You have the Teamsters doing a massive union effort in Amazon facilities around the country right now. They've decided to lean in on this. So it really depends on the location, which unions are strong. And again, that goes back to, Republicans have decided, and Democrats, of course, are part of this, but Republicans have completely annihilated unions by taking over state legislatures, creating right to work states.
That's right.
Koch brother funded efforts.
That's right. Alec, Koch brothers. It has been a concerted effort to make this country unpalatable for labor. I want to play this next clip. This next clip is a clip from last year when I was able to speak with several Amazon truck drivers. And based on the story about the urine bottles, Okay. All right. So we won't go to that just yet. But this is the part that I really want to focus on, is the fact that these are real people, Nomiki. I think some of us, we sever our solidarity based on how much we need that product to get to us the next day, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much we need that widget to get from Amazon. And then there's a lot of people who really just cut it off and say, well, that's too bad, because I really need that TV delivered Amazon Prime the next day. What are your thoughts in terms of the culpability of us as consumers to what the workers are going through?
I think this is a complicated thing for folks on the left, because in some situations, boycotting an industry can make a huge difference. The problem with places like Walmart and Amazon is that they have eaten up almost all small business, especially in rural communities, and especially when you're in a lockdown, that you almost have no choice. It's like when, folks say, well, boycott this, boycott that. It's like, well, where does that end in the society that we live in? We all have iPhones. We are all carrying around, precious metals that were probably in a very inhumane way mined and also affect, geopolitical situations, et cetera. So we're all part of this in some way or form, and we're not even aware of how this, every single piece component in the supply chain, is the humanity connected to it. So with that being said, I think that, if you can go to small businesses, please do. But I don't feel personally, this is my take, I don't feel like we should be making people feel guilty for taking part in a system that is very hard to escape. This is why, it's not about individualism. It's about having real oversight. It's about having a government that holds these companies accountable. I mean, when Walmart swooped into all these towns, and I grew up in one of these small towns, there used to be a vibrant little main street where all the little shops, my dad would tell me these stories about growing up there, and went to the Five and Dine shop, none of them were open anymore when Walmart came in. And then now Walmart they're still perfectly
the only
fine,
game in town. Yeah.
Exactly. Now Amazon is that. And of course, Amazon does so much more damage because of the supply chain, environmental consequences of shipping things around. And of course, how they treat their workers. So, this is why it's important not just to have unions, but simultaneously, we can't sit here and think that all of this is dependent on unions. We have to look, especially if you live in a blue state. What are our lawmakers doing? I mean, there are plenty of things in places like New York State and in California, and they have been doing little things here and there that they could be doing to crack down on how workers are being treated. They're breaking the law. Let's be very clear. This isn't about union rights at this point. What they did to Chris Smalls, what they did to so many other people, they broke the labor law, and they broke actual laws, and they're not being held accountable.
That's the thing. So Christian Smalls, we've had him on our show. You've had him. And for those of you who don't know, he's a young black man who stood up for the Amazon employees at his warehouse during the beginning of COVID. And he was fired because of his efforts. I want to go to Starbucks now, because Starbucks, they just had a successful unionization effort that took place. And there's another effort that's happening in Cleveland, Ohio, that's going on this week, or starting this week. I want to play this clip that shows us the unionization. It's too early in the morning for 4-syllable words. The unionization effort amongst Starbucks workers is spreading throughout the country. Illinois, Colorado, Massachusetts, Ohio, and more. The Starbucks CEO, of course, Kevin Johnson, says that the company opposes unionization, but told employees that they are the heartbeat of the company.
A small group of workers making a loud statement as the Starbucks crew at a Buffalo cafe vote to form a union.
We have proven that we are Starbucks. We are the heart of this company.
Now, workers at 2 Boston area Starbucks are looking to do the same. In a letter to employees, the CEO of Starbucks said they oppose unionization, but remain committed to their employees, calling them the, quote, heartbeat of this company.
We love you sincerely, but don't organize. Nomiki.
Okay, so this is so fascinating to me, because the fact that unionizing happened at Starbucks shows something is really happening in this country. Because I'm going to be really fair on this argument. comparing Starbucks to most major corporations of this size, they do a lot for their workers. They provide school, if you like to free education. They provide healthcare in a way that most companies like this, their employment community is much more, and they did it intentionally because they don't want people to be unionizing, right? They're like, what? So they've written about corporate social responsibility. I mean, they are the gold standard of corporate social responsibility. And I think this is really important because for us, we can't just lump all these companies together and say Amazon is Starbucks, because it's not. With that being said, I think it is exceptional that the workers are saying, we got healthcare, but that should be the bare minimum. Like, you don't get a gold star because you're giving us healthcare. We want these things too, because we deserve to live safe, secure lives. I have a family friend who went through a divorce and had kids and went to go work at Starbucks a few years ago because of the healthcare. She has a master's degree. This is. I'm sure there are plenty of stories like this, but it's good that they offered that. But the people, I think if we were going to do an assessment of who's working at Starbucks now versus who's working, everybody has different needs. And ultimately what we're seeing is that the middle class is broken down entirely in this country, and companies are a big part of that. So, Starbucks, you really got to step up. Yes, your employees are the heartbeat, but no corporate social responsibility is going to save you from the fact that, your workers demand to have fair wages and, better hours, et cetera, all the demands that they're focusing on. Also, just shout out to the Buffalo Starbucks workers, because that's where I grew up when I used to go to those Starbucks and I'd study for my exams there with my dad. Because we didn't have a local coffee shop anymore on Main Street.
Nomiki, we are all culprits. Like, we're all participants in it. There's not a Starbucks that I've been in the city in that I haven't been to. So I'm with you there. Listen, I'm going to be with you later on. Solidarity Wednesdays doesn't stop with what we're doing this morning. Tell everybody what's coming up with your show, what's happening, and how they can reach and support you.
Yeah, so we on Wednesdays, as you see this beautiful graphic by David, our dear pal and colleague, we do Solidarity Wednesdays starting off 8 a.m. here on your show. And then we move over to 8 p.m. On the Nomiki show, which airs on YouTube. So you can check that out on YouTube. But we also air on Patreon and all the different podcasty places you can go, where Bet and I are going to continue our conversation about what it means to be great allies. Maybe every once in a while we'll bring in a guest to school us on what it means to be an ally with their community. And then we have, we start off our show. If you haven't checked it out before, we usually have an interview with an author, an activist, or somebody notable. And then we have a kick-ass panel talking about all the news of the day. But we talk a lot about labor. So this was perfect. And really strategy for the Democratic Party, and really how to take on what is the right wing. And I want to emphasize that, yes, there are a lot of bad Democrats who are doing nothing right now. But I also want to, my vision for 2022 is to not be too reliant on these bad Democrats, and just go target the Republicans yourself. If you're in a district where you could run for school board, or you could run for city council or town council, do it. It doesn't take millions of dollars. And I think we have to stop relying on the big D Democrats to save us, because they're not going to.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Nomiki, thank you so much for joining us for this first Solidarity Wednesdays. I will see you later on today. And Solidarity.
Take care. Solidarity.
Later on, coming up at the 9 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by Rebecca Azor. She will be interviewing several guests. We're going to be covering all of the stories, the news, the politics, and some shenanigans. On the Clock is coming up in our next segment. Before we get there, though, I want to touch on one more thing in terms of solidarity. And I really do appreciate Nomiki and her team helping us pull this together. I have to emphasize something. This is a fight, again, that we cannot win by ourselves. I realized this last year when there was a all-out attack on the organized left, the left that was using social media as an organizing tool. I realized that there were fights that were happening that we cannot win in our silos. One of the things we're good at as leftists, as progressives, as liberals is operating in our silos. And when someone is not helping us with our particular issue, or when we are not helping someone else with their particular issue, we easily find out that when all of us need to work together, we're not prepared for it. When we all need to bring a level of defense, because let's be real, the one thing I did not get a chance to talk to Nomiki about properly was Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is organizing. That is Donald Trump's former senior advisor in the White House. He is organizing. He's working with the Proud Boys. He's working with the Boogaloo Boys. He's working with right wingers all across the globe in order to execute his agenda. And it is a far right wing, theocratic, fascist agenda. There's no questions about that. And if you don't know the definition of every word I just said, I'm telling you, they are not out for anyone other than white Christian men. Don't believe me? Ask Bill O'Reilly in the clip that I share all the time, where Bill O'Reilly makes it clear that this country was made for the benefit of white Christian men. And this is what they are. So if you're not white, if you're not a Christian, if you're not a man, then what the conservatives are doing and what they're organizing around, what people like Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller and what they're doing, they're organizing, working out their differences. They're hammering out their issues. They're getting on one accord so that they can win on behalf of white supremacy. We honestly must be prepared to fight just as diligently and ferociously and organize the way they are. That said, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be on the clock. We have stories to cover. President Biden yesterday gave a speech in Atlanta. Black voters matter, had something to say about it. And quite a few people are mad at our friends over there at Black Voters Matter. We're going to be on Joe Biden, and we have clips from Kamala Harris. We'll take care of all of that when we come back with more on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show.
Sunlight that always stays, dinner by the waterway. It's that sweet life. Raise your cross. Made some dude crack a smile. He asked if I could stay a while. I'm living that high life. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro. To and fro. Back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feeling when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. I left my heart in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. Shopping together. I brought a girl on my Vespa. She said I already told ya, yeah, yeah. I never dated a black guy. I said you're brown yourself. Let me offer help. Come on inside. Where everybody knows your name. Everybody knows your name. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro. To and fro. Back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feeling when you hear the
Good morning, good morning, good morning, people. Y'all know who it is. You know the voice, you know the sound. Good morning. I'm on time today. Look at me. Good morning, y'all. Hope y'all are having a good morning thus far. Y'all go ahead and grab your coffee, your tea, whatever it is you the morning started. And we'll be back with more on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Y'all stay tuned. Throwback Jam.
Slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do the show tonight. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do the show tonight. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, my hand is wrapped around your waist. I love the way that you be twirling to the bass. Moving sideways on a Friday. DJ playing all of your favorites. I'm digging your flavors.
Good morning, everybody in the chat room, y'all. Of course, y'all know we're going to do roll call next break, of course. But good morning, everybody in the chat room, wherever you streaming from, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever streaming platform you decide. Good morning to you. Shout out, Brother KFZ. I missed your shout out yesterday, man. I had to get you. Brother KFZ, what's going on?
Come on. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left.
Oh, good night, Julie. Oh, Jules, Australia. It is nighttime over there, huh? Good morning, nighttime to you, Julie. This is that wake your ass up music. Mama and Daddy out there in the chat room. Yeah, I got a text from them saying, it's always a joy to hear your voice in the morning. Thank you, Mama. You made me smile. Shout out, Brother Chuck Diesel. I said I was going to do my roll calls here, but goddamn it, I love y'all too much, man. Shout out, Brother Chuck Diesel in the chat room. What's going on, Brother Chuck? Y'all got me excited. Laura Starter, good morning. Mark S, what's going on, brother? Elephants are afraid of bees. What's going on, Brother Latif? What's up, brother? Indian Brown, Grand Rising to you as well. Esther Roach, good morning. Tyler Hackman, Amber Layla. Roll the Dragon. What's going on? Promises Manifested. Good morning. Star Sign Song Dragon. Lunch break. Hot take. Good morning to you, movie. Oh, hippie. Good morning. Brittany Woods. XOXXO Bob. What's going on? Juanita Shelby Hall. Brenda Johnson. Miss Guru. Tiger is in the building. Tiger. Uppercut. What's going on, Tiger? Laney Lou. G-Man, Brother Bryce, what's going on? Good morning, y'all.
It ain't the end of times yet, I know, but it's getting close. Yeah, I need my space to breathe, that's why I be going ghost. I ain't trying to stay up on that wide road, cause I can't let them take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul. Nah, 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 no. I can't let them take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul. Nah, 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 no. They thinking I'm bluffing, but I promise I do it. That K got a drum, like murder and booming. We sending you vert, if I get my little Uzi. They thinking I'm crazy, I'm gon' see you to hate it. People I'm saying, get what I'm painting. The picture big, I call it little baby. If I'm on the board, then we playing chess. If you on my way, you gon' need a vest. Act big, you might get stretched. All your gun talk, I ain't impressed. My 45 seen real traffic.
Okay.
That's Dallas, Texas. My little partner called a body for a Maserati. He told him get about the car, hit him with the shotty. That 12th gauge, gave him life in the 12th grade. I tried to write him,
it's pretty damn cool that you guys are making requests in the chat room.
I just had to let them know. Ain't the end of times yet. I know, but it's getting close. These demons really out to get you, so you better guard your post. There's certain things I could probably let go, but I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul.
All right, y'all welcome back to the screen. My brother from another mother, Mr. Benjamin Dixon himself. Oh, Big Head Ben, what's going on, Brother Ben? Good morning to you.
James, not many people get to come to work every morning and call their boss Big Head.
I know. Of course. That's because I'm that guy. I can't do what I want to say. I'm that guy,
Not everybody gets to work with their friends, man. So it's all. I love it. I love it because the other day, the best moment we had in a long time was when the fellas came for Free 'em All Friday. Brother Professor Ball and Chalangi Kalanja. Or Kalanji Changa, rather. I said it backwards. And this was his, third or fourth time on the show. And Chalangi was like properly mocking my height to the point where all I could do was just sit back and enjoy the roast. You ever get roasted so bad that you just got to sit back and just sit in it and just let it happen in real time? So,
I ain't that guy now because I'm going to roast the hell back now.
See, I can't roast back on the show. Not for real, for real. You got to be nice to guests.
For real. Like, yes, you're right, though. He was like, yes. You know what? That's okay. I'm going to sit here and take it. But I'm going to be back. When he leaves,
I ain't inviting your ass back. Right. Professor Ball, Jared Ball. Somebody tell Professor Jared Ball and Chalangi. I keep saying his man wrong. Name wrong. Tell them they cannot come back. No, I'm joking. This is an equal opportunity space. Everybody can catch it. Everybody gets roasted from the rooter to the tutor, from the top to the last. Everybody is fair game on the morning show here. James, we were just talking about the new vote in Bessemer, Alabama. And you were with us when we were talking about this summer when I broke the story, or I got the video footage. I didn't break the story, but I went and captured the footage of the Amazon workers who have to use the bathroom in their trucks in order to get our gifts on time. It seems to me that people who have to work like that, they might benefit from a union. You know plenty of Amazon workers. The warehouse workers, man, they're in conditions that, especially during the pandemic, man, it's just been a really hard go for them. The good news is the people of Bessemer, Alabama, the Amazon warehouse there, they are getting a second chance to organize. They're going to get another chance to form a union, and that's good news. I want to play for the audience, though. I want to play for them the clip of when I got a chance to speak to 9 Amazon truck drivers, all of them at the same exact gas station. It was a random gas station that I saw all of the truck drivers there gassing up. And I pulled up, spoke to 9 of them. 8 of them, James, had urine bottles that they showed me. 8 out of 9 Amazon drivers getting your packages to you have to urinate in their trucks. Let's take a listen to that clip. Oh, I just fell out the truck. We're going to leave it. Well, you know what? That means another worker has to get it. So I'm going to let you come pick it up. Tell me what this is.
Bottle of urine.
Whose urine is
my
it?
urine.
Why do you have a bottle of urine, brother?
Because I don't have the time to stop. So I have to keep up, and I don't have places around me where all my deliveries are. So I have to keep a bottle for whenever I have to use restroom.
That make you feel, man, that you have to do that, like as a human being?
How the world is going, I do what I gotta do to maintain me and mine. That's pretty much it. I can't complain too much about it because to me, my voice don't even matter that much.
About it.
Do you have a bottle in the van?
Yeah, but usually I throw them out.
You've had to pee in your truck before?
Yes.
Why?
Because most of the areas we deliver in, they don't have any bathrooms around there, and not a lot of people want to stop, and take time out of their route and get behind just to go pee. This is actually the second Amazon team I've worked for, and I've always done it.
And you've had to do it with both teams.
Uh-huh.
Is it 2 different states or the same state?
Same state, 2 different warehouses.
2 different warehouses, same conditions. So you figure we'll see this across the country.
Yep.
This is the beginning of the day, and I'm not going to hold you up. Show us what you normally have to pee in.
So when you're done eating, you pee in that.
Yep.
Right. It's
I'm
more
a woman.
difficult. It's difficult. How does that make you feel as a human?
I mean, it made me feel away because I mean, for men it's easy. They can just pull over on the side of the road, whip it out, and pee. But women have to squat. So of course, I'm gonna do it in my van.
Do you know about the organizing in Bessemer, Alabama?
Is that a part of Amazonians? Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
I'm
it is.
fully familiar with it.
Yeah. So you would think that workers who have to pee in a bottle would want to unionize.
We don't get that, so we're still dealing with the same things we've been dealing with. That's why I'm still holding this bottle of pee in my hand right now.
James, that's real. That's some real stuff, man. I know a lot of people kind of dismiss that sometimes and say, "Oh, well, FedEx drivers have to do it. UPS drivers have to do it." I'm sorry, nobody should have to do that. Not to deliver, Nintendo Switches and stuff.
If anything, it's one of those things where they just need to set up those routes or set up some kind of spaces where they can have that, where they can just stop in there and pee. I know I've seen a few stations that they stop and get gas at, and I don't know how. I'm guessing it's a hub that's nearby, but on the Old National, there's one right off the interstate, and then the other one is off of Roosevelt Highway, right off of the little whatever that intersection is. They're right everywhere. There.
That's right.
Everywhere, and it's a lot of them. So I can just imagine, Ben, when you first broke that story or ran that story, the first thing I thought after seeing those, I'm just like, man, how many of y'all got these urine bottles in y'all truck?
That's right. And one thing I asked, we really didn't get a lot of traction on it because it makes people uncomfortable. But I wanted people to ask their Amazon driver, because most of us, like, if you order from Amazon enough, you know your driver. That's until they have turnover. I wanted people to ask their Amazon drivers if they have pee bottles. We might pick that up coming into the new year and make that a thing where everyone shows us. Like, I think it is pervasive. I think it is a reality that most drivers, because 8 out of 9 in a random sampling, a random gas station, 8 out of 9 had it. That tells me it's epidemic and not just a one-off. That said, James, we're going to come back with On the Clock. Take us to a quick break. We'll be back with more of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show right after this.
When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah.
One day Dwayne is gonna open that microphone so he can help me sing.
When I get you back, oh yeah. I promise you'll never leave me. When it comes
y'all
to
make sure y'all stay tuned. Trying not to say too much because I like this song too. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man. Georgia Ford is coming through and On the Clock is starting up next. On the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned.
I know you need it. Love is it when you're around. Oh, please say that you believe it. 'Cause I don't wanna lose you. I hope you feel that way too. No, I don't wanna lose you. Baby, don't go. Don't go. When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah.
You said that Georgia Ford back there doing some karaoke.
When I get you back, oh yeah. Ooh, when I get you back, oh yeah.
Come on, George.
'Cause I don't wanna lose you. I hope you feel that way.
Good morning. Indian Brown, I got you. It's gonna be on my next break.
You, baby, don't go. Oh, when I get you back, oh yeah.
Brother Goku, good morning to you.
I promise you'll never leave me.
Street in Scotland, what's going on?
Queen Abby. I'd rather be with. When I get
get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah.
Infinite content, that is good to hear, brother.
When I get you back, oh yeah.
Lily, good morning, Lily. Six Dragon Daddy, what's going on? Dwayne, you need one more? All right. All right, y'all. Y'all welcome back to the Scream, my brother from another mother. I'm about to call him on. No. Y'all welcome back to the Scream, my brother from another mother, y'all. Benjamin Dixon.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It is 44 minutes after the hour. Justice does not happen on its own, and someone has to be there to bear witness. That's why we're on the clock with Georgia Ford.
The federal trial for 3 other officers charged in the murder of George Floyd is starting to take place. Preparations began yesterday. There was a pre-trial hearing, which I had the opportunity to witness. In fact, about a dozen journalists were allowed into the jury assembly room of the federal court in Minnesota, where we are able to watch a live feed of the federal trial. What we learned is in this case, it will not be live streamed. The only visual documentation that's going to be captured in the federal trial will be from a sketch artist. So no photos, no video. However, they are allowing us to watch the proceedings from a room nearby. Now, Ben, what I took note of yesterday, because of COVID, this judge is asking that 18 jurors are selected. Among those 18 jurors, 6 will be alternate. So I know there was a big gasp in the room of journalists, when he threw that number out. They were like, 18 jurors for what? But he's concerned that by having so many people in a room together, the jurors, the witnesses, the attorneys, that the chances will be higher for someone to get COVID. And if there's an outbreak in the courtroom, then that means they would all have to, pack it up and go home and start at a later date. So he's hoping that by increasing the amount of alternates, that in case someone does get sick, they won't end up in a mistrial, but we'll see how that goes. In fact, you just saw Thomas Lane and his attorney, Earl Gray, on the screen. When I was walking in, going through security, they were right behind me. It was a little eerie, I will say. I've seen Earl Gray in court before when I covered the Potter trial, but it was my first time seeing Lane and King, and Tao had already walked into the courtroom. So, it will be interesting. Chauvin was found guilty. We know that on all charges, but will the jury look at these 3 other defendants and hold them to the same level of responsibility? Could they have intervened? Was it their responsibility to do so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Georgia, good morning. And the first thing is that last thing that you just pointed out, right? What responsibility will the state place at the feet of the accomplices, or at least those people who were there present with the charge of protecting and serving the community, not murder? And the real question is whether or not they're going to treat these officers the same way they would treat regular citizens. Any regular citizen who is nearby participating in a drive, if they're even so much as in the getaway car for not driving it, if you're somewhere near a murder, there are so many American citizens who are sitting in jail right now for felony murder when they didn't pull the trigger, when they didn't stab the person, when they didn't actually commit the act. And so the question is will these police officers be held to the same standard that the average citizen is held to when it comes to something like felony murder or whatever the charges are in this specific case?
Yeah, well, in the federal case, they are charging these officers with violating George Floyd's civil rights. And the attorneys for the federal government pointed out that they had offered plea deals and that none of these defendants were interested. And so, it will be interesting to see how a jury of their peers or our peers determine their guilt or lack thereof. And then after this trial wraps up, after the federal trial wraps up for these three officers, which, by the way, Chauvin may be a witness because he's already he's already pleaded in this case. He may be a witness, and he may have in his plea deal offered to get a either lesser sentence or better treatment while he's in jail, and in order for him to testify against these three officers. But before moving on to the state trial, which I was just getting ready to mention, I do want to add that this federal judge, one thing that I thought was very noble of him is that he took note of the 9-year-old witness, Judea, who I interviewed after she testified in Chauvin's trial, that she will be exempt from testifying. And I think that that's honorable considering her age and how traumatic the incident was to live through, and then to have to relive through in a state trial, and then to have to do it again in a federal trial, and then potentially again in the next state trial is a very lot to endure for a 9-year-old. And so in the pretrial hearing yesterday, the judge did say she will be exempt from testifying. And I really applauded him for that, because I don't think she should have to go through that again. But we did learn yesterday, after the federal trial wrapped up, that the state trial for the other three officers, just to clarify here, there's federal charges and then there's the state charges. So the federal trial starts January 20th for the other three officers. The state trial will start in March, and that one will be live streamed. There was an issue released yesterday by Judge Cahill, who has agreed to allow the state trial to be live streamed in March.
And with the, I still wonder, Georgia, with this process, truly, I feel like the odds are better for us to continue to get justice on the federal level. I don't want to be wrong in that feeling, and we'll have to see how it plays out. I am curious as to the charges, the second-degree murder charges. Like, I really do want to see the culpability that is extended to the quote unquote bystanders, because as you said at the beginning, when it comes to the actual life and the life that was taken from George Floyd, these people, these three other officers, had the opportunity to intervene to protect his life, and they did not. So there's a lot that's coming down the pipeline. And I agree with you on that the young girl not having to testify, because this one murder, this murder has shattered and fractured so many lives for the foreseeable future. And they're not even past even the first step, which is trying to get justice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and when you think about the fact that Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck, we originally thought it was 8 minutes and 26 seconds based on the video that was captured by Darnella Frazier. But what we learned after reviewing body camera footage in the state trial against Chauvin was that, in fact, he had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And so you mean to tell me for nearly 10 minutes, as a peace officer, you don't have any inkling to say, let's stop? Or you're hearing all of the civilians asking you to please get off of his neck, to please stop. You had a I believe she was either a paramedic or someone who worked for the fire department who knew first aid, who was offering to help before the paramedics got there, and they declined. And so the question here is, if you are on duty with another officer who's using excessive force, when is it your responsibility as a professional to intervene and say that's enough?
Right.
I think that this trial is going to be significant and set a precedent for policing. And it should on a federal level. This is a federal case. So if they are found guilty, it should set a precedent for other police departments in this country to say, we're not going to tolerate not only one officer using excessive force, but three other officers standing by and watching and not doing anything about it.
That's right. And that's so critical. Like if at this juncture, if these officers are able to get away with this, which I don't believe that they're going to get away with this, right? I think this is one of those cases that should be clear, but we still live in the United States of America. So as with everyone else, all of us are holding our breath. But at the end of the day, if we can get on the record that these police officers had a responsibility, which should be obvious. This is the sad part, Georgia. It should be obvious just simply by the fact that we pay police officers that we should not be paying people to kill us, that we should not be paying people to sit around and watch as another officer kills us. And yet there are people in this system, not just police officers, there's people on the other side of the argument, the political argument, who suggest that you and I and people like us who see this absurdity, that we're out of pocket, that we're in the wrong. And I'm hoping that this case on the federal level will resolve that as well as on the state level, because I think they need some real accountability here.
Well, and, the big argument from the defense, specifically for the officers who are rookies, is going to be that they were rookies. They didn't know that this was their first time in an intense encounter like this. We saw similar narratives being presented during the Potter trial for the officer who was being trained in by Potter at that time, that, he's a rookie cop. In that case, that cop actually transferred from a different department. So we learned, in fact, even though it was his first day on that job, it definitely wasn't his first day in the business. And so in this case, I do anticipate that is going to be the defense. But it's going to be challenging, Ben. I know that we live in a very visual society. And so to offer reports every day about what's happening in court without any photos or video, I know it's going to be hard to help people follow along. But I'm committed to going to the courthouse every day, plugging in however I can and taking notes and sharing that with individuals, because I think it's going to be very important, not only for people to see the outcome in this federal case, but to see how we get to that conclusion. So the jury selection begins on January 20th. I believe there's one more pretrial hearing between then, and I will continue following the developments in this federal case.
Thank you so much, Georgia. It's we need people there to bear witness. Is one of the things I heard Cliff Albright from Black Voters Matter say when, as it pertains to the Ahmaud Arbery trial. They were there, and actually I was able to be there for one of the days. We were there to bear witness in the process of achieving justice. Because truth is if we don't have bodies in these rooms as these decisions are being made, we should have no expectation of actual justice. So just a thank you again for covering these stories the way that you do. If you have a few more minutes, I want to talk about President Biden's speech yesterday in Atlanta. And it was a speech on voting rights. And it's something that you and I have been talking about consistently. The problem with the filibuster, the problem with Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema standing in the way, along with other Democrats, but particularly Republicans. The fact that on no issue whatsoever can Democrats find 10 Republicans to work with them in a bipartisan fashion. Not a single issue, let alone the critical issue of voting rights. President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both came to Atlanta, Georgia yesterday to speak on it. I want us to listen into the first clip of President Biden as he says, "There's one thing every senator and American should remember. History has never been kind to those who said that voter suppression over voter rights, and it would be less kind for those who side with election subversion." Let's take a listen into this first clip.
To those Republicans who believe in the rule of law, restore the bipartisan tradition of voting rights. The people who restored it, who abided by it in the past, were Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush. They all supported the Voting Rights Act. Don't let the Republican Party morph into something else. There's one thing every senator, every American should remember. History has never been kind to those who've sided with voter suppression over voters' rights. And it'll even be less kind for those who side with election subversion. So I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? At consequential moments in history, they present a choice. Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis? This is the moment to decide, to defend our elections, to defend our democracy.
Now, Georgia, he went on to say the filibuster has been weaponized and abused in the United States Senate. It takes a supermajority, 60 votes, to even get a vote. And to be sure, that's not the case with every single vote, but it is particularly the case with the votes that matter the most to the people, as in voting rights. Let's take a listen.
Filibuster is not used by Republicans to bring the Senate together, but to pull it further apart. Filibuster is weaponized and abused. While the state legislative assaults on voting rights is simple, all you need in your House and Senate is a pure majority. In the United States Senate, it takes a supermajority, 60 votes, even to get a vote, instead of 50 to protect the right to vote. State legislators can pass anti-voting laws with simple majorities. If they can do that, then the United States Senate should be able to protect voting rights by a simple majority.
Now, I have a lot more, Georgia, but I want to get your thoughts so far. Cliff Albright, who's been on our show several times, he had a couple of choice words for the president, and we'll get to that in a second. But I just want to get your thoughts on voting rights and the president. They're turning their direction now from everything else they worked on, and they're going with a full court press on behalf of voting rights.
It's about time. I think that Black people, especially those of us who follow politics, have been calling for the Biden administration to take a stance on the filibuster, to do something about it. I remember very clearly a protest in D.C. where Reverend Al Sharpton called for this. You know, that Biden is going to have to denounce the filibuster and potentially move to a place of creating some legislation against it, because it has been very successful in suppressing the Black vote, among other things. And so it is a bit of relief, I think, to hear him make this declaration, to see him come to Atlanta, Georgia, however, and do it as opposed to D.C. makes me question his intent. You know, who are you speaking to? Now you're speaking to Atlanta, Georgia. You're speaking to the people who are affected by voter suppression, and you're giving this, show and dance as though you're going to do something about it. You're speaking their language. You're speaking to them. You're saying the things that they want to hear. Are you trying to finesse the Black vote? Or are you being genuine that you're going to take this same messaging and you're going to deliver it in DC, where the people who are able to utilize the filibuster can actually hear what you have to say? What are you going to do about it? Because at this point, talk is cheap. You're regurgitating everything that Black community leaders have been saying for the last year and a half. You're
That's
just
right.
simply regurgitating it. You know, all you have to do is do a quick Google search on Black voting rights. And I bet you'll hear 10 other prominent community leaders say this very same thing. So while it's a relief to hear him, you know, singing this tune, it for me, I'm also skeptical because of who he chose to deliver this message to. This isn't an audience that can do anything about the filibuster, but to just simply have the record that the president has made a declaration against the filibuster, I think is significant. I hope it's a turning point. I hope that that in 2022 we see the Biden administration put a full court press on this issue, because if he doesn't start to lay that groundwork, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. In 2024, Trump will run again and he will win.
That's right.
Because the filibuster is not a, you know, political idea or a political tool that helps politicians. It's a strategy that has been deployed to prevent and in some cases completely stop the advancement of our people. And if it's not addressed, if he doesn't start to do that work now in 2022, because it's going to take some time, because there's going to be resistance. If Biden doesn't take the time to do something about it now, we are going to be in serious trouble in 2024.
That's right. There's not much. There's not going to be much that we can do, particularly as Black people, because the voting rights that are being attacked are specifically happening in Black communities. We're not going to be able to do much to help the Democratic Party in 2024 if they don't do exactly what Joe Biden finally said yesterday. Georgia, if you have a few minutes, so I want to talk about it a little bit more after this next break. DJ Exclusive is going to take us to a commercial break. When we come back, there's a part 2 of this. Cliff Albright from Black Voters Matters said as much yesterday on CNN, and he got attacked ferociously by people who don't want us to say anything. I mean, honestly, I just feel like they don't want us to say anything to Joe Biden. But I'm sorry, how do you don't hire somebody and then don't hold them accountable? That's not how the real world works. So when we come back for this next break, we want to talk about that a little bit and expand the conversation a little bit more. We'll be back with more on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show right after this.
Mars bars, Willy Wonka bars. Air Hustler, good morning to you, Air Hustler. Hollywood 2000, good morning. Miss Suru, what's going on? That A, I know you out there somewhere in that A. And our sister Seven Sweetheart, if y'all are listening, we miss y'all. We love y'all so much.
But I couldn't see that, and he cleared down. Start to feel like I'm on one. Settle in, I'll be here for the
shout out Jonathan Guerrero.
For the cash, got snakes in the grass.
Left this Jesus in the chat room. Good morning, Jonathan.
We done seen it all, heard it all. Heard enough, give me space before I murder y'all. 10 bad here, I'ma curve them all. 12 missed calls, and I still made a curtain call. Here to light it up, lighten up. Hear him talking, they ain't right enough. Tighten up. Everything that I came for, I left with. I don't bang sets, I just bang on the set list. Good pass out.
The reception is high, my dog. High.
I might put you in the guest list. Young.
Strada Martin Boy is probably one of my favorite animals. Laura Strada is my spirit animal. Love you, y'all. Love you, Laura. To this next song, let me go ahead and get our new patron and Twitch subscribers out the way. Betty Essie, good morning. All right, y'all. New patron members, we have Late Stage 20XX, Michael 1983, David A. Olay has joined the Patreon now. Shout out to Olay, Lauren. What's going on, Olay? And Roller Dragon, of course, tripled their pledge, like I said yesterday. Shout out to Roller Dragon, man. We appreciate you so much. New Twitch subscribers, we have Blue Daddy 2, who resubscribed with Prime, subscribed for 4 months. Surfer McGritty resubscribed and commented 2 months. Ayo, they've been subscribed for 4 months. Locks them fire. Subscribe for 6 months in advance. Damn, 6 months. I love that. That's awesome. Soy Duffy resubscribed and commented, this show can take my money every month. Well, we so the hell will. We appreciate it, Soy Duffy. Let me stop playing. Chicken Fried Dragon gifted 9. Y'all, Chicken Fried Dragon gifted 9 subscriptions to the following. 9, y'all. Shout out Chicken Fried Dragon, man. God dang. 9 subscriptions to the following. Orpheus Alcon. I don't know. I sound like Ben this morning. Orpheus Alkin, Run Ronaldo Run, Skip Reigns, Progressive Ama. We have JNKD, Game Set John, Kal-El Marks, Fizz 420 Kitty Dragon. Shout out Chicken Fried Dragon. And she also gifted a community, one community subscription, man. Hey, Chicken Fried Dragon is the MVP because every time I read off my Twitch subscribers, Chicken Fried Dragon is guaranteed to be in there. So shout out to you. We appreciate y'all. And before we get to this next song, I think it's very fitting to tell you this and then go into the next song. So I recently joined a nudist colony. The first week was the hardest.
I got an appetite, let's make ourselves a treat.
All right, y'all. If you have not already, patreon.com/likeitOrNot, patreon.com/the BPD show, y'all. BPD show, y'all. Y'all go ahead and join, man, and get them likes up, them views up, get the patron contributions up, all that stuff. If you haven't joined yet, man, y'all need to go ahead and get it. What you waiting for?
We can cook up, we can serve when we organize you and me. With that cream, with that preheat this oven up like 5,000 degrees.
All right, gotcha.
It's almost ready.
Yeah, Hustler, she listen. She already know. She know I ain't got no sense. And hell, like, she asked me, she was like, brother, you went to a nudist place when you went to Jamaica? I said, yep, mama showed it. Shout out Derek Fuller, Susan Bradley, good morning. Valley Girls, Nat M, what's going on? Mark S, Elizabeth Lanza. All right, y'all, we're not going to waste too much time because it's already time. So welcome back to the screen. My brother from another mother and my sister from another Mr. Benjamin Dixon in Georgia Ford. Oh, look who just popped up.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back, everybody. It's 13 minutes after the hour. It is January 12th, 2022. Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. On the screen, you have Georgia Ford and DJ Exclusive. Rebecca Azor will be joining us momentarily for Like It or Not. Good morning, folks. How are y'all this morning?
Doing good. And especially better now that I actually have my coffee.
Right, George.
I went back and I re-upped. I had to re-up myself. James, what you sipping on, man? You got tea or coffee this morning?
Coffee, always. I got a whole thing of tea, but I just drink coffee all the time. I don't know why. Yeah.
Listen, Georgia, when you kept saying the name of the attorney, you kept saying the name. What's his name? Earl Grey.
Right, Ben. Is that the Earl Grey?
All I could think of was Star Trek. Earl Grey, hot. You know, I'm just. It's a very. I don't know. Some names you have to ask your parents, like, why? Why did you?
I wish he was as calm and cool as a cup of tea, but. There's something about that attorney that's just off a little bit. You know, if you watch the Potter trial, it's something's wrong with him.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Listen,
yes.
George, I know you only have a few minutes to hang out with us, but we do have Rebecca getting ready to come in a minute. And I kind of want to get her input on this next clip. This next clip, I want all of y'all to see. This is of our friend Cliff Albright. He basically said what you said, Georgia. He said it yesterday before the speech as it pertains to Joe Biden. Like, listen, man. We don't need any more speeches. We don't. We need action. Let's take a listen to Cliff Albright from Black Voters Matter.
That just doing this speech isn't enough, and that he's got to follow it up with action. Think about that graphic. That graphic you put up, Hallie, was incredibly telling. 2 speeches on voting rights. The last one in July. The last time he spoke about voting rights, you heard Mike talking about he was there. Mike probably had on a short sleeve shirt and a tie. Today, Mike's got on an overcoat. Right? It's been 6 months since Joe Biden has talked about voting rights. And in between, he did no type of action on it, or at least none that we could see. And so he's got to follow this speech up, whatever he says today, with a plan, with meeting with Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, the same way he had meetings around infrastructure. And he's got to follow it up with, again, going to the caucus and giving a passionate speech. If he had given a speech to the Democratic caucus, they meet every Tuesday. If he had given a speech to that caucus that's as passionate as a combination of his July speech and then Senator Warnock, our senator from here in Georgia, who gave a very passionate speech talking about modifying the filibuster, if he gave that kind of a passionate speech to the caucus, followed it up with some actions, followed up with some carrots and some sticks, then we might get the legislation that we need. But that's what we need to see after he talks to them.
Cliff said they meet every Tuesday.
They meet every Tuesday.
Okay.
Dang.
Tuesday. Georgia, this goes right to what you were saying. Like, why come to Morris Brown? Why come to Atlanta when the folks you need to talk to meeting every day up in D.C.?
Right. That's right. I love Cliff, by the way, because he threw that in, so passively. But I mean, it's based on facts. These are the facts here. There's nothing that I know that anybody in Atlanta can really do to fix this problem. Right. Mm-hmm. And so why are you talking to people and you're preaching to the choir? Mm-hmm. Go preach to the people who can do something about it, and I think this is why when you talk about finessing the Black vote, I think this is an example of that. We historically have these white politicians coming into our communities preaching to the choir, trying, for those who aren't paying attention, for those who don't know that they meet every Tuesday, for those who don't know that Biden's not giving these same speeches in DC, for those people who don't know and they're just listening to what he's saying and they're taking what he's saying at face value. Oh, well, he's just won them over.
That's right.
He's just got a new supporter. Because it sounds good. It sounds like he's on our side. But when you investigate, when you follow up, when you do your research and you actually examine what's been happening for the time he's been in office, you'll see that what he said, it hasn't matched up with anything that he's done so far. So he's got to prove it. It goes back to that old elementary saying, actions speak louder than words.
Louder.
Ooh, you said that.
Yeah, James, I was just thinking, like, there comes a point in every relationship. I look at my wife and I say, I can't tell you what I'm going to do. I got to show you better than I can tell you. Right. Because, when you messed up enough and you done told her you were going to pick up your socks and you ain't done it for 12 years. You can't tell her and give a speech and say you're going to going forth, we're going to pick up our socks. Nah, bro, just pick up the damn socks, Joe Biden.
Just pick them up. Don't tell me what to do.
Put the toilet seat down.
Put the toilet seat down, Joe
Biden. Clean out the tub. Kamala, come on.
No, seriously.
Telling me you're going to do it.
Just, damn it, do it. Don't come to Morris Brown. Like, shout out to the president, Morris Brown. They had the hard reset. They got their accreditation back. They got financial aid back, which sucks because that means more student loan debt. But that's where they did the speech yesterday at Morris Brown University. Morris Brown, is it Morris Brown College or University? It escapes me. But then he was talking about Joe Biden talking about Bull Connor and George Wallace. Great names to call up in the South from the past. They are the boogeymen of the past. They were horrible people. But not a nary person who was sitting behind Joe Biden actually has to be fearful of Bull Connor, because Bull Connor is dead. We have to be fearful of Joe Manchin and Donald Trump, the people who are in power and people who are outside of power, ready to seize power by virtue of not letting black people vote. So damn it, just pick up the socks, put down the toilet seat, stop telling us what you're going to do, and just for once, do what the hell we elected you to do. That's my take.
Amen.
We ready for the Queen to come on?
Yes.
Jane, Dwayne?
Who's been azoring. I know, it's so funny.
Hold on, Bubba. You got to say it right. Azor. Are you ready?
Mr. Azor.
Hey, are we prepared to do a switch? Can we run the intro?
Sure.
If not, we can. We just improvise on the fly. We just do it in real time. Do it live. We'll do it live. Rebecca Zora is going to join. I got to hear her thoughts on this because it is. Georgia, you said something in there also that I don't want to go past too quickly, because for the people who haven't been paying attention, they now have a reason to say, oh, look, Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of us. He's got a new supporter, and they've missed this last year of everybody telling them, hey, fix the voting rights. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the track record Biden and Kamala have, there are some things you can point to, some triumphs, but the issue on voting rights is critical. I mean, this is the fundamental thing that our country is built on. This is the bedrock of our democracy, and it's under attack, and it's been under attack, and they've stood by and done absolutely nothing. And so it would have been a better start to 2022 had he have done something versus give a speech, but baby steps. Hopefully, hopefully this is like a first step of a broader plan here for 2022. But I mean, it feels like a digression when you look at everything that John Lewis fought for in terms of voting rights and how far backwards we've gone from that. It's sad, and it's an insult to his legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that said, hold tight, everybody. Like it or not, is about to go down. I stole James' line.
Indeed, you son of a sucker.
Y'all know what time it is. Good morning, y'all. Get your coffee, your tea, bring your drink, whatever it is you need. It's time for Like It or Not, y'all. 9 a.m. to 10:30, yeah. Like It or Not is on your channel, yeah. Politics and culture, it's we change scan like we supposed to, yeah. Interviews and all the news, we get to choose what gets the views. Like It or Not with Queen Azure, it's starting now, so stick around. Like it or not, it's gone.
Now Ear Hustler calling me Trey Wrongs.
Like it or not,
I'm screaming.
Rebecca's on, it's coming through. You know she got a good story for you. Oh, Benjamin, that's my dog. This is his show. He's a politics bro. I am your DJ exclusive.
Oh yeah.
Y'all know who I am.
Right, David.
Let's take them jams. Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not.
Oh my gosh. Latif said Malia just bust out singing this yesterday morning. It wasn't even playing. If y'all don't know, that's Latif's daughter.
Like it or not, it's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care who doesn't like it. Good morning, Georgia. See,
good morning.
See, I was here for about 45 minutes, so I don't even know why my screen.
The lies.
Oh, to be honest.
The lies.
Well, come on here and really take it there. But I don't know why my screen had to be the one that was off, because I was sitting here for about 45 minutes. Enough time.
Girl.
That's just where I'm at.
Real
You were
quick,
sitting
though.
there,
Real
and
quick.
I set you in a place, and then you moved. So, and then I see that you moved right when we come back on screen. Right when we come back on screen.
45 minutes. Being on Holla Bye, we're going to bring Rebecca in on this conversation. Well, where is she?
I could have brought you.
You got up to get. Wait.
You ain't responding.
Wait.
I had you ready.
Now listen.
She
if
said
I got
she was getting tea.
I was going to put that on the screenshot. James,
Go ahead.
I was going to screenshot where she said she had to go get some tea.
15 minutes after you said you are bringing me in the conversation, that's when I said I was getting tea. But here we are. Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning. Georgia, I absolutely love your earrings. Those are gorgeous.
Thank you.
We have a lot for you guys on Like It or Not show. I do want to get into that conversation, though, with Joe Biden and his comments, because we know, and Cliff Albright said it best for all of us. We all feel that way. And for those of you who are upset that we are not in line, we are not believers of Joe Biden's comments, we want to see actions and we want to hold him accountable, you guys can go kick rocks, because we had a whole year of this man and there has been nothing, no follow-up. After we've been screaming about these voting rights. And there's nothing. There has been nothing that he said pertaining to it, him and Kamala Harris. So this is where, it's going to be a little fiery when we get to that conversation, because I got a lot to touch on with that as well. Shout out to Cliff Bright for that. But we have an interview today with
She's about to boot all of us off the screen, y'all.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not.
It's fine.
But if you guys want to stay, you can stay. But we do have an interview this morning with the Georgia Haitian. Chamber of Commerce. I'm looking at it right now, and Swarell, he's a friend of mine, and he is somebody who I've worked with or worked alongside at other Haitian events here in Atlanta, it's beautiful to have this kind of association here, this kind of organization here, to bring together Haitians. And they have a policy agenda that they've been working on. And I can't wait for him to come and have that conversation for everybody who's in Georgia to, be enlightened on what they're doing for Haitians here. I know I talk about it all the time, and I know I've held a lot of leaders accountable, last year for not even knowing the Haitians in the community. But this organization definitely, is here to assist and actually has plans for the future here in Georgia when it comes to Haitians. So
nice.
I would love to bring him on.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Is he in the cut?
Well,
there he is. Okay. Good morning, Sora. How are you?
I am fantastic this morning. I'm so happy to be on the Ben Dixon Show, and certainly delighted to be in the company of Rebecca Azor. Oh, come on.
My last name correctly, okay?
Not Azer.
Wait! You are not going to have this man from the Chamber of Commerce coming on the show cracking on my accent now.
Listen.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Glad to have you, sir.
Morning.
Thank you so much for joining us.
So there's so much that we can touch on, especially when it comes to your organization. First and foremost, introduce yourself to the audience. Let them know who you work with and what you guys do.
Good morning, folks. My name is Sorel Keita. I, too, am from Haiti, and I'm a proud representative of the Georgia Haitian American Chamber of Commerce. And I'm currently serving as the chair of their board development committee. And I always introduce myself this way. I am the promise that Haiti is a developed nation in my lifetime. And I mean that. The Georgia Haitian American Chamber of Commerce and myself, we stand to work for that and to live it today. Not like Haiti's going to become a developed nation when we die. No. It is a developed nation today, and it's a weird way of looking at it. And I want to share a little bit of what that tastes like with you and the audience today.
So when you say that it's a developed country today, because a lot of people like to look at it as an undeveloped country, a country, of course, that we've seen how they, describe it all over the media in many ways as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. When they say Haiti, that's the first thing that is, that describes Haiti on every media platform, even when it comes to print. So what do you say about that? Because that doesn't align the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and a developed country. What do you mean by that?
Well, we're here to debunk that notion, okay? Being a developed country, in my mind, has nothing to do with the circumstances. Big, tall buildings, big highways, lots of money. No, it starts right here. And the Georgia Haitian American Chamber of Commerce seeks to create a developed nation in the minds of everyone regarding Haiti. And we're doing that in a very concerted way here in Atlanta. And I'd love to share that with you. And it's connected directly to the policy agenda you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So this policy agenda and the plans that the organization has, I know that me and you spoke before, and I was telling you how I think it was very problematic that a few leaders, even in a place of Cobb County, a few leaders in these areas in Atlanta and the metro areas in Atlanta don't really have the knowledge of the Haitian community, or in their policies have nothing that relates to immigrants. Nothing that can actually assist them when it comes to educating them on, how to vote, or, how to get access to resources that can assist them to reading, or all kinds of things to get them aligned and assimilated here in the city of Atlanta. So, I know that we talked about that and it was frustrating for me, but hold this policy agenda that you guys have created, I think will also hold these leaders accountable. So can you talk a little bit about that policy agenda?
When people vote, it's somewhat offensive when people who are running for office, I don't care what ideology they follow or what race or creed they fall in, it's offensive to me when they're pandering to us with sound bites. So in the context of creating the policy agenda, we start with a developed nation in mind. And I say that when we hear people from Haiti exercise our leadership through our vote, then through our effort, Haiti becomes a developed nation. So we created this agenda. It's got 5 points. It's really simple. And the idea is this, that given our numbers, the Haitian community is really poised to exercise its power through active participation in the political process. And active participation for us looks a certain way. It doesn't look like we're listening to candidates and figuring out whether or not they're telling us what we want to hear. We go to the candidates, we go to our community, and we say ahead of time, here is what we want. And what we want is outlined in a very easy to read 5-point, one-page policy agenda focusing on the following broad areas. 1, economic development. 2, affordable housing. Then immigration, education, and last but not least, healthcare. I'll read just 1 point in the agenda, and we'll hang on to that one, okay? Immigration. We want candidates, elected officials, to provide immigrants, including farm workers and factory workers from Haiti and the Caribbean and other countries, black, brown, yellow, you name it, with a path to adjust their immigration status and protect them from exploitative working conditions. Now, when we go talk to a candidate, we don't tell them, hey, tell me what you stand for. No, we say our agenda and we interview them like we're interviewing them for a job. Are you someone who's going to have the guts and the spine to stand for that? And when you can demonstrate that you can stand for that, well, guess what then? We jump in. And we exercise our 3-point approach. We educate the community about you. We mobilize the community behind you. And we participate not just with our voice, but we participate with our talent, our time, and our dollars.
Yes. So what does that look like here locally, to push that? I know that you said we're going to, we, especially us going to challenge them like a job interview, them being the prospective leaders, in these areas of Metro Atlanta. But what does that look like for this group to go ahead and push that towards them? Because me and you talked about this. On paper, they'll have immigration, but it's way down at the bottom of the list. And it's like, okay, so how are immigrants supposed to be able to, join in on voting efforts or because you can't just come to them when it's the day before you're voting or when it's the day to say, okay, if I'm your leader, this is what I would do for you. And as soon as you get that seat, you forget about that whole community. You don't even know what the majority of the immigrants, where they're coming from in your particular city. So when you say we go up to them and hold them accountable, and you also said we go and mobilize and let, immigrants know, because that's to me, that's great, who you are as a person. Would that be also if when you're asking the leaders questions and they tell you things that are not benefiting immigrants, are we going to also, tell the immigrants, hey, this leader is not what you want? They're not looking for your, in your best interest, to help them understand that, because some of these leaders are very predatory in a way where, immigrants are taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? So those points that you did just name are beautiful. But in that moment, are we going to, once we know what we know about a certain leader or a candidate, will we be responsible as Haitians to go and inform those immigrants about that, bad or good?
Yeah, absolutely. And the kind of accountability you're talking about begins way before the election. It starts by us educating ourselves to know who's running, so we can go after them. And it takes work. It takes us working to create rallies, town halls, face-to-face meetings, one-on-one interviews to actually communicate the agenda, not just to our community, but to the candidates. And then once they're elected, it takes us working behind the scenes, one-on-one with them, visiting the candidates in their offices, watching what policies they're enacting, what laws they're voting for, and holding them accountable. Now, we may vote for you today, but guess what? If your performance demonstrates that you're not standing for the agenda, we won't vote for you next. And now what does have power is the fact that we here in the Haitian community number more than 100,000, both documented and undocumented. You know what? Most elections nowadays are won by thousands of votes. We, the Haitian people, in partnership with our Caribbean brothers and sisters, are vowing to vote as a bloc. We're vowing to vote as a bloc according to this agenda. So yes, we are going to hold them accountable. Yes, we are going to speak truth to them. And yes, we're going to raise hell when they're not doing the right thing. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to hear, because, you know, there are particular groups who, because the connection in the community or the celebrity of the leadership of the candidate, right? The leader, the candidate, the celebrity of the candidate, excuse me, but they're afraid to step on their toes in the community. They don't want to, be blacklisted or whatever, in the community, because this leader, is a celebrity, so they, a lot of people don't want to hold those people accountable, but I like to hear that. And especially coming from a Haitian organization, like you said, women lie, men lie, but numbers don't lie. So with the growing number of Black immigrants coming into, especially the city of Atlanta, and specifically with the growing number of Haitians coming here, I want to be clear too about this. When I say immigrants, I'm really just talking about Black immigrants. When I say Black immigrants, at this particular moment, I'm discussing Haitian immigrants, because even if you call in places that assist Haitian immigrants, as I have done for my cousin who was under the border in Texas, they'll tell you for some reason Haitian immigrants are treated the worst in immigration system, period. Black immigrants are treated at the bottom of the barrel, but the people who are treated the worst are Haitian immigrants for some reason. They're just treated terribly. So to have a policy agenda coming from a Haitian group, holding these leaders accountable, it really speaks. It really speaks to something. And we have to make sure we understand the difference too. When we say immigrants, particularly Black immigrants, all immigrants across the border, of course, we want to make sure we're fighting for them all. But we also want to make sure it's understood that Black immigrants get the worst treatment, have the least resources when they're coming here to America. So, yeah.
And I'm delighted that we're not just talking about it. We're putting our efforts, our muscle, our activities where our mouth is. And I also want to acknowledge, Rebecca, that this effort, what gives it teeth is that it's not just a local effort. In 2019, a group of 13 Haitian organizations across 12 states got together and worked on a broader federal policy agenda. And we in Georgia are leaning and standing on the shoulders of what's called the HAV. It's the Haitian American Voters Coalition, led by a lady named Vanessa Joseph. So we want to acknowledge that organization for not only being the catalyst, but being the organization that's been sustaining this movement for years now. So kudos to them, and kudos to you for connecting this initiative with the Ben Dixon Show and giving it the voice that you're giving it now.
No problem, sir. I really, really appreciate you coming on. I know that the organization is growing. You guys have added my friend Abs Petit onto your team.
Oh my God, no. Yes. Do not say Abs Petit. Petite in our language means small, But man, this lady's huge.
Yeah, she's
right?
huge.
So
she's huge.
there is no petite in that abs, okay?
I'm happy that you guys have her on your team. I know she's going to bring something really, really good, spice it up. I know she's going to be that for you guys. Like you said, her last name might be petite, but she is a big, huge personality.
She's a huge human being.
Yeah.
And, and so is the rest of the team. I'm really proud that to say that I am the old fart on the team.
That's all right, because you're still looking good. You know what I'm saying? They say black don't crack, but Haitian, I don't know. But Haitian is something about being Haitian. It just keeps you nice and glowing, and you are. So that you are.
If you had a rhyme in your back pocket,
thank you so much for coming on.
Hang on. Hang on. Before you go, because I get the sense that this may be over or ending, and I love being here with you guys. Right? So, this group of young people, led by the creativity of Abigail Petitfrère, are staging this thing in May around Haitian Flag Day called Zochella.
I love
okay.
so Abby.
Okay.
That is so Abby.
Okay.
Now, I'm just making a plug. I'm not going to tell you more about it. What you've got to do is get Abs on here with me and the rest of the team, and we're going to rock you with this dream come true. A festival in Atlanta commemorating Haitian culture, everything great about Haiti, and immersing people in Haitian culture in a way that no event ever does. That's what's coming in May, guys.
Okay, so absolutely. So listen, we're gonna make sure that we invite, like it or not, over, because I'm inviting myself, and I got friends over there anyway. So
I was about to invite myself
make sure
too.
that I invite the crew,
Ben.
and we get some footage, and we make sure we bring it here. But thank you so much. Let them know where they can find you, find more information about the organization. Let them know.
You can find the Georgia Haitian American Chamber of Commerce by simply Googling that or going to gahcci.org, or you can call me directly. 404-735-2519.
Y'all,
man, I wouldn't be giving out my number on the internet
for no reason. Don't say that number.
Oh man, I've got a screening program that works like a charm.
Okay. All right. That's it. Sir, it was definitely a pleasure meeting you.
And I promise to be accessible.
Yes, and I believe it. So thank you so much. We will definitely talk, because I want to hear more about the plans that you guys have. And anytime you need me, just give me a call. I let you know that before. Give me a call, whatever I can do to assist and help to further push this movement, because I believe in this policy agenda and holding these future leaders accountable. Love you, meet it, and we'll see you next time.
Pleasure.
I honor you guys. Ben,
thank you so much.
James, thank you. Rebecca, until next time, okay?
Until next time. Have a good morning.
Rebecca. Azor. Sorry. I couldn't resist.
There you go.
How you get a guest coming on my show? I don't care about nothing. I ain't pay attention to nothing. I listen to every word. Excellent interview, Rebecca.
Yeah.
And way to like.
Why is he so perfect in the face? Because he's Haitian. Okay. Why is his skin glowing? Why was his teeth so white? Why was his what was it?
He was fabulous. He was fabulous. He was like, he's kind of old man I aspire to be. I want my hair to be that clean when I get that age.
That salt and pepper was off the chain. I was like, okay, yeah.
It was perfect.
Like, I got a little competition. Okay.
And not like a distinguished gentleman of a certain age present themselves and speaking truth to power. So yeah, it was great connecting and meeting with him. Where did you meet him at that same event where you went and you gave everybody hell?
No, I read those people were felt outside of that. But I met him. I'm trying to remember. He actually contacted me, or I must have met. There's so many events that I've been at that he's been at as well. But we connected with each other, and he was so kind. And just telling me about the organization, and I've heard about it, and I've seen him, and I was getting him mixed up in the beginning when I first moved here with the restaurant owner that also is here, but he is very strong, and I've heard his name so many times, and then being able to meet him, I've actually met people who worked within the organization, and he's held town hall meetings. He's part of a group of people that I also know, so there's so many, like there's a group before us, and then there's us millennials, and then we got the Generation Z that's here, and everybody's doing their thing, but it's a great thing when, these organizations can come together. And I think they're the only ones, if I'm not mistaken, here who are actually connected with this organization on a state level. So they're connected here. And so for them to have this organization at a state level, a state-run level, that's great, because we don't have much Haitian organizations that's in that lane. So they have connections, and he's a great leader. And to me, he just added. So my friend that I was talking about, Abs, that's what I call her, Abs. She like he said, she's a big like personality out here. She's actually done a lot of work she's a stylist actually, and she's done work for so many different people. She did Brandy and T.Y. Savage's recent video for Somebody's Son.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, to have her here working on the team, it's beautiful, because it shows you how versatile we are, especially us millennials. We're very versatile. We can be here and we can be there, and especially representing as Haitian. So it's just like her to put her mind together as a stylist to come up with Zochella. That is brilliant, Ab. Look, if you are watching, that is brilliant. That is brilliant.
Yeah, that is brilliant.
I'm pulling up the Zochella. So long as we're done, moderately done with this pandemic, I'm going to pull up. But that sounds like something to be at.
It's ancestral for me, so I'm going to be covered. I'm just kidding. If people say
you better say that. I'll be covered too. I'm vaccinated 2 times over. Shit.
James said
I got
he's
a booster
covered.
on top of a booster. I got wings back there. What's going on? Superpowers? Hell yeah, I'm going. I'm pulling up with you. I want to do a live remote or something. I'm going to take this camera out there with me. I'm just going to be walking around with it.
We're going.
I'm going to be Rebecca's cameraman for the weekend. I'm going to film Rebecca doing interviews.
Look, it's
on the scene with Rebecca Azor.
It's going to be more face down, ass up.
Yes.
It's going to be more waist winding.
That sound like the resort. Never mind. I was about to say that sound like the resort I went to. Never mind.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Rebecca, you go and enjoy yourself. I'll pull up with the camera. James, you go and enjoy yourself too, because it sounds like you got plans for Zochella. I'll pull up with a camera crew and we'll do the interviews, and we'll make sure not to get video of Rebecca with her face down, ass up.
Booted it, tooted and booted.
But that's you won't see most of that, depending on what song plays. But more waist winding. That's it's been a minute. I said on my Twitter the other day. I said to the people, I said, I recall the days where I used to pull up to the events, Guyad, which is winding your waist, on somebody's son, that I didn't even know his name, is passionate. Okay. And then I would do it with someone else, maybe 10 minutes, because about Haitian songs, 10 to 20 minutes long. After 10 to 20 minutes, I go to somebody else's son and I do it too. And then, but after the night is over, I go home not knowing their names, not knowing their phone numbers, and all is well in my heart. And I miss those days so much. We used to sweat on each other, because it was passionate. We would dance.
But the reaction is a little different when you say that.
Those days are over, because I will refuse. I will not. Unless he's, somebody that I don't know. It's different.
We need to get your glands checked. You're out there sweating on me on the dance floor in 2022. No, we're not. We can't.
Not get your glands.
The sweat glands be active, bro.
What the hell?
The sweat glands be active on some folks, bro. And in this post-pandemic society, I just don't think I'm ever going to get back used to people sweating on me at a club, bro. I just don't think. Nah. Not the way they be sanitizing and keeping some of these. You got whole
I'm trying to think about
fungus growing at these places.
Like, I don't even know if I can go to a club anymore and actually if I'm not DJing and actually attend the club. I don't know, because just being out there, everybody dancing, I'm gonna be too scared with my cup in my hand at the bar like this, like.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going home.
It's actually the people for me who are out in the world, and I'm not even, trying to really judge you, but judge you a little bit, maybe a lot of it.
A lot of big girl.
So it's the people who went out recently during the Omicron. Like now, there was a time where it looked like it was almost, just kind of we were getting out of it.
It was leveling off.
Not really getting out of it, but we were about 2% out of it. That was enough because we ain't been seeing no progress. Now, because people don't know how to be right in the United States of America. But something about Omicron sent people straight into the club, beelining for the door and to the hookahs. But the way that
I'm gonna tell you what it was, Rebecca.
Omarion was getting people just by you looking at him. It's crazy to me. It was ridiculous.
What they thought was when they heard Omicron, they thought it was really Omarion. Oh, Omarion out there? Let me go ahead out there, girl. He was touching everybody. Touch, right?
Hey, do the Omarion challenge.
It was touching people, okay? But you didn't have to touch them. You look at them and you're sick. You're sick. It was ridiculous how much people were getting. No, it was the children. So now you going over there to go smoke hookah because y'all, you can't afford to buy more than buy two. So you buying one and you waiting. You be like, pass me the hookah. You're waiting.
Y'all sharing hookahs in this panorama.
And the hookah be by. Look, the hookah is like this big.
About that small.
And they're passing these hookahs. You're waiting for it because look, I got a hookah tip somewhere around here. But you're waiting for your tip, and you looking crazy. You're waiting for and you're looking crazy. And now, by the time it gets to you over here inhaling, a stranger's air.
Follicles.
I mean, can you switch out to tips?
But you switch out the tips. But when you blow into it to make the smoke come out to get it clean,
come out right, Rebecca.
Reduce the air that's toxic. You blow.
I forgot you were like a whole ass hookah barista. What is a hookah?
I'm
hookologist. Hookologist, yeah.
Okay. I am.
Hookologist.
I am that. That is me.
You're a hookah?
But no, seriously, it is hookologist. You know what I'm saying?
Hookologist.
But I be out the house. I be at the house as a hookah girl, and it just be me.
What was my flavor? I had the best flavor in the world.
Man, you had peach
mint, and
watermelon.
No, it was a melon. It was some kind of melon. It was peach.
It was
mint,
melon. It was no regular melon.
It wasn't regular. It was regular melon.
Yeah,
that combination right there.
That sound like a good combination.
I promise you, peach, mint, and melon is the baddest combination.
Peach mint, like Trump. Peach mint.
Yeah. Peach
That's so crazy, man. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got about 7 minutes before we cut over to the after party. Patreon.com/like it or not. Sign up today. It was really dope to see Olay become a patron of Like It or Not. I was like,
listen, she knows she had to become a patron. You know what I'm saying?
Olay.
She literally came on here and had such a good time, like she always does. Because, who doesn't have a good time on the show? But she had such a good time. And she was just like, listen, I ain't never see so many. See how fast she can clip herself?
Oh,
lady, clip herself and
damn. She be having clips up before we can even get them up. She be like, this is a good part.
Listen, I'm like, we just need her to work for our Like It or Not Instagram page so that we can have clips up too. So she's so fast.
She's so shady.
By the time
she's so shady, boy.
Hey, do we have the image from Mark from Australia? Like we called it out yesterday, and I didn't know if he was even watching. But he put the meerkat on top of Fresh and Fit, bro. I'm like,
no, for real.
It was hilarious.
He put the meerkat on top of those clowns, Fresh and Fit, and I was like, done.
So we do have 5 minutes, and I did want to touch on the Joe Biden situation just a tad bit since we have 5 minutes left. I'd like to think that when people,
and we got all the clips, by the way, if you want them, but have at it.
Okay, so I'd like to think that when people are held accountable the first time, like when we first put them in that seat, presidential seat, with the first ambiguous woman in the United States as the vice president. So, I I felt like when we put them there and we held them accountable and we told them we're not gonna settle for this, we're not gonna take this, and we got slapped in the face because we didn't even really want them in that seat for real, but we had to make sure that the seat was not going to be taken over by the Trumps and them again. So having them there did some good things, and we flipping states blue, all that good stuff. But the thing is, a lot of the promises and policies that he dropped, right, that he was behind, and that he was pushing his candidacy on. Is that a word?
Yeah,
but
no,
that he was pushing that on. That he was pushing that with, all of those things never happened. And a lot of people be like, well, look what he did here. Look what he did here. Well, sis, the reason why we really voted for him, because we thought that we would be clear on student loans. We thought that voting rights, would be definitely challenged, and make sure that we put that on the front lines. Make sure that we discuss how these voting rights and how you were in the middle of a voting rights scandal. You were in the middle of a voter scandal. Like they still saying you ain't president, and you did not put that at the top of your agenda. And now here we are, and you're saying that now this is something that you cannot stand by after we've been screaming it every day, after Cliff Albright and them been standing over there talking about how Governor Kemp and his friends and them have been literally disrespecting, putting barriers, dragged Park Cannon.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Dragged her when he was signing a bill that was taking away people's rights to vote, particularly black people's rights to vote. Yeah. And you have the nerve to now, after all that time that they had to go through that, the people in different states marching daily,
getting arrested
about this particular issue. Now, after all of that time, after you done did your photo shoots in the middle of the hallways and the byways and the skyways and the highways, okay, with your little glasses on, after you done did all of that, now today, after all of that time, people are beaten bloody. Now you done came out of nowhere after your fresh sleep, after getting your colon cleansed, and you said today will be the day that I speak about voting rights. We need to discuss, as I have these black people behind me, we need to discuss the fact that it's an issue, and let's now challenge the filibuster. Let's get that. We must do it today. There is no better time to do it than now. You done been in this seat. It's been warm. It's hot now. You done been in this seat. Okay. Now you decide to get up. And people have literally risked their lives all this time just trying to get you to hear, just trying to get you to make a statement, just trying to get you to have the conversation. And now you do it. So that's why people are weary of this all of a sudden you're coming out and speaking on this. That's why people like Cliff Albright, us, are weary about it. We don't trust it. And that's okay that we don't trust it, because when we did put our trust in you, you did nothing. So we need to get it in writing. We need to see it. We need to make sure that this is promised to the people, that this will be something that you challenge, you fight, you make sure that, voter suppression isn't a thing. Voting rights, who it's challenging. I need challenging.
Watch this, Rebecca.
I need you to say that with your mouth, but go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, watch this. He did something, but I want you to parse it. I got some checks. I got kids, though. So I got a couple checks. Then they ended it. They ended that. No, we ain't getting those little checks anymore. But that's it. I think we got 1,400 instead of the 2,000. Okay. I mean, there's some things. There's little piecemeal things that they did. But this man ain't canceled student debt. And I'm saying, if you really want to win, it's almost like, they don't want to do the obvious things. You cannot win unless you protect voting rights. Duh. You cannot win unless you actually do something for the people who elected you. Duh. I'm just tired of all these people who look at us and say, well, we should stand by Joe Biden in a way. Houseway, in what universe? Should we just stand by the most powerful person in the world as if he's like some impotent granddad and just be, oh, that's just Papa Joe. He moves a little slow. He couldn't get to the voting rights in 2021 and he's getting to it now. And they want us to just be happy with the fact that he's simply talking about it and he ain't done nary a thing yet.
But wait, did we get money under Joe?
I don't
remember I remember a check from last year from Joe.
He had a
If you
toe.
didn't have kids,
he had a toe in the White House. He had a toe in the White House.
If you didn't have kids, you didn't get no check.
Yeah, he had a toe in the White House. I didn't get a check, but he had a toe in the White House at the time that he said we was gonna get a certain amount of money. But that's okay because the 2000 became 14. You know, and so to me that wasn't a win for us because at the end of the day, if you don't think the people of America deserve, first of all, you didn't even give us what you promised when it came to our student loans that you kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Push it. Yeah, when you kept doing that, nothing. We were literally saying, girl, I'm about to be debt free. New house, who this?
Right.
We're about to be like that. And we did not get any of it. We didn't get any of it. And here's my problem with that, and we're gonna go ahead and take it to the after party. We cannot live off of a hope and a dream from a white man. We can't do that. We can't do that. It's affecting us all. These kind of promises, they have holes in them. And you guys who are Democrats and, liberals and whatever you want to, call yourself these days, you can't get upset for people that are holding them accountable. You can't fight us for saying, okay, but why now? And what do you plan to do? Can we get that in writing? Can we get that in some kind of law form? Can you go confront Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema? And you go do those things. We need to see it because that's the way that we can believe it. And if, you can't, all you guys who follow them and are stands for them, you can't get upset with us for holding them accountable. And asking where they've been all this time, what's they changed their mind, how can we move forward in having true trust in them?
Right. Can we get it in some writing?
Praise God for Jesus.
That's perfect. Can we get it in writing, Joe, as in a law? If we can get it in as a law, then you're going to be one step cooler. But listen, I want to be sure this is the other game they play, and I know we got to go to the after party. They lower your expectations so far, so much. We started off thinking we were going to change. We're going to get, not me, I'll be honest with you, not most of us, none of us on this show. We were very sober. The way you said it, Rebecca, we voted for Joe Biden because we knew Donald Trump would be immeasurably worse. Let's just be clear. Yeah. There's a lot of people who died this year from the pandemic. There would have been even more who died if Donald Trump was still in office because he's the one who set all this massacre in line. Like the deaths are a result of what Donald Trump did. That said, what has Joe Biden done for us, y'all? What has he done? And we have to be honest. No, he's not Donald Trump. Thank God we don't have Donald Trump in office right now. But what you're not going to do is lower our expectations so much that when they finally do something on voting rights, everybody's going to act like it's the biggest celebration, the biggest victory. No, baby, that's the baseline. That's the very minimum. You don't get a pat on the back for getting my right protected to vote for another Democrat in the next election. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for measurable, tangible, material benefits for Black folks and liberated folks all around this globe. So I don't want I don't want them to do this thing where they beat us down so much, or our expectations are so low that we're going to be celebrating when they finally do something on voting rights.
Papa.
Anyway, after party.
Run me my money, Joe.
Run me my money, Joe.
Run me my money, Joe. All right.
Joe,
run me my money, Joe.
Joe. He got the people depressed,
Joe.
So they don't really want anything, Joe. They don't even want student loans canceled anymore, Joe.
Hey, Joe, I'm just going to act like I'm jogging, and when you win, I'm just going to call you on the phone and say, Joe, we did it, Joe. It's all staged, but we did it, Joe.
Do not come.
We're going to talk about Kamala Harris a little bit in the after party.
Head like that? But we'll talk about her in the after party. I love you guys so much. Make sure you guys are tuning in tomorrow if you're not headed over to the after party, which you all should be, okay? But if you're not, make sure you become a Patreon on patreon.com/like it or not.
You said that.
I love you, mean it.
Love y'all, mean it.
All right, B.
All right, y'all. We are heading over to the after party. Shout out to B. We will see y'all over there, man. Hey, shout out to everybody that joined us this morning. And if you are not the Patreon yet, you can go to Patreon Patreon.com/like it or not, or Patreon.com/BPD. I have so much trouble saying. Go ahead, become a Patreon. Get the likes up, get the sets up, all that good stuff, and get all this access, man. We love y'all. We mean it. We will see y'all tomorrow. Shout out Marsha Reese in Industrial Arts. What's going on, y'all? And also, your affirmation for today is I can feel my body growing stronger, and I am grateful I never give up. I can feel my body growing stronger, and I am grateful I never give up. All right, y'all. Y'all be great. We're going to take y'all out. Come to mama.
Come on, just come to mama. She'll take care of all of your drama. Baby boy, just come to mama. She's gonna make it all right.